Bro, there's a guy climbing a tree like a monkey. That's awesome. Probably a park worker. Check it out. Do you see it? In the past 3 weeks, I've dropped 2.5 kilograms or about 5 pounds without starving myself, going on severe caloric deficits, or generally putting myself in a world of misery. And I'm going to tell you exactly how I did it. But first, let me tell you that I've dropped a lot of body fat in the past. At one point, I went down 40 pounds, which is about 20 kg. I know, not exactly, but I'm rounding out. But I was doing it in suboptimal ways. When you try to drop body fat with extreme caloric restrictions or insane amounts of cardio, you might have a 6 to 8 month spurt where you're basically running on willpower, but eventually life is going to take over. One thing is going to happen that'll throw you off schedule. The next thing you know, you turn around, 2 years later, you're exactly where you were before, if not worse off. The reason for this is that we have a lot of misconceptions about what it means to actually lose body fat. First off, I'm not going to get into an extended rant about all the nonsense diets out there and all the fads, because this is just a cottage industry that's there just to sell you stuff. So it's a rant for a whole other video. In order for you to drop body fat percentage, you need to do only two things. Only two. You need to be in a caloric deficit, a reasonable one. Reasonable. And you need a certain amount of physical exertion per day. Again, reasonable. And this is the key and where everybody messes it up. Because let me tell you, by the time I'm done with this, you are going to be you're going to be really happy at how easy it is, and you're probably going to be a little disheartened at how boring it sounds. Because when it comes to losing body fat, it's a really boring process. And why is it boring? Because you got to do a specific thing, and you cannot do too little of it, and also you cannot do too much of it. So you need to be on a caloric deficit, not 1,000 degrees, not 1,000 calories, not something crazy that's going to make your body go into starvation mode and start fighting you. You need to be on a reasonable deficit, man. Like, let's say 500 calories a day for a male, right? That is enough. And then you need to have a certain amount of physical activity so you burn calories, obviously, right? Now, you do not need to kill yourself with cardio. You don't need to go to the gym 3 times a week, get on the treadmill, heart pumping like it's going to jump out of your chest, and you feel like you're going to die, right? So you can get off it afterward, exhausted, and pat yourself on the back and say, yeah, man, I'm doing a good job. Fact of the matter is, all you need is 10,000 steps a day. Now, you can replace that with a treadmill if you like. You can get on a treadmill for maybe half an hour, use a certain amount of incline, right? So you can get the same effect. But why do people get stuck on this 10,000 steps a day number? Because unless you have, first of all, a very, very, very steady schedule, and you just have, you have this kind of logistical life setup where nothing is going to interfere with your schedule, you might not always be able to go to the gym to get on a treadmill or a bike or whatever in order to get your cardio in. When it comes to burning calories, believe it or not, and you can go look this up, I'm not going to go into like nerd studies, just listen to me. When it comes to burning fat and physical activity, the things that you do throughout your daily life that are not things you specifically do in order to lose weight, in other words, it's not actual intentional cardio, but it's just you walking from point A to point B. It's you going up or down the stairs. It's you walking down the street. These things count more on the long run than, you saying, I'm going to go to the gym 3 times a week and do 45 minutes on the treadmill. You got to understand that, and you have to divest yourself of this false information that cardio is some kind of task that you need to incorporate into your life, and now you got to be all gung-ho about it and all that stuff. Now, if you like it, if you legitimately like it, like if you're a runner, for example, then you're probably not even watching this video because you don't have a body fat problem. Losing body fat as somebody whose job is not to be fit, this is what you got to understand. You just have to find a way to incorporate movement into your daily life and then not think about it again. And the easiest, the most reliable way to do that is 10,000 steps a day. 10,000 steps a day, depending on your pace, could be anywhere from a little over an hour if you're walking fairly brisk, or up to 2 hours. Depends. For me, I would say about an hour and a half. So you got to think to yourself now, how could I actually incorporate this into my day? Because if you have a sedentary job, chances are you're barely taking 2,000-3,000 steps a day, which is not good at all. That's when atrophy sets in. That's when the years roll by, you turn around and you're just a shadow of your former self, man. All right. So it's these small things over time that are going to make the difference. So for example, maybe if you take a cab to work or if you drive to work and it's, I don't know, it's a 10-minute drive. Where I live, a 10-minute drive translates to about a 50-minute walk. So maybe once or twice a week, you can do a 50-minute walk. For me, that's about 4.1 kilometers. And it puts in about 5,000 steps to my day. Then after that, when I'm at work, I can walk a little bit here, walk a little bit there. And then if I don't want to walk home, which usually I don't because I'm too tired to do that, I can just go home, have dinner, then like go downstairs and walk around half hour, go back upstairs, watch some TV, go downstairs a second time, walk around another half hour before bed, and then call it a day and hit my 10,000 steps that way. The point is you need to incorporate it in a way that it is not a chore. If it's a chore, I promise you, you're eventually going to burn out and quit because willpower is a depletable resource. So you need, I know it sounds cliche, but you need habits or systems that run on automatic without you having to expend brain power to keep up with them. And of course, the second thing, as I said, is a reasonable caloric deficit. Now, here's the trap. Let's say that you do this. You're like, all right, I gotcha. I'm going to go on a caloric deficit. So you got your calories and your protein and your macros dialed in. We're going to talk about that in another video. And you got your 10,000 steps in. And then you do this for 2-3 weeks and you start seeing some results. And you're like, hey, nice. I'm feeling lighter. This is working, right? Then here, the biggest trap is going to come up. And no, it's not going to be you skipping days and getting lazy and quitting. It's even more insidious than that. Because you're going to think, hey, if this works, maybe if I do more of it, it'll work better. So you cut out another 100 or 200 calories, or God forbid, even more. So now instead of 10,000 steps, you're trying to hit 20,000 steps a day. And this is the way to ruin. First of all, it's the way to ruin because it's going to kill your willpower. Because again, this runs on willpower. It's a lot of effort that I think very few people will be able to work it into their schedule to the point where they do it without thinking. You want to do 20,000 steps a day and you're a day jobber, bro, that is brain power that you are using to keep up with it. So your willpower at some point is going to run out. And the calories, that is the worst thing you can do because you're going to put your body in starvation mode. So the thing is, what I'm telling you is that you cannot do too much. You can't do too little. The caloric deficit has to be big enough. The steps have to be at least 7,000, but ideally 10,000. But you also can do too much. You cut out too many calories, forget it. Body goes in starvation mode, disaster. You're not going to make it. Even if you look good for a couple of months, you're just going to bounce back. Not only are you going to bounce back, but you're going to gain all the weight back and even worse. And then it's going to take a shot at your self-confidence, and then you're going to subconsciously tell yourself, see, I tried and I failed, and then a couple of years later you do it again and the same cycle repeats, and then you say, see, you tried and failed again, and then your subconscious starts working against you. Then you get that negative voice that says, what makes you think you're going to win this time? So I am telling you, that's not a hamster wheel you want to get on. So you cannot be doing 20,000 steps. It's just not necessary. It's not necessary. So now, if you've been following along, you might have the very reasonable question, or you might have already reached the very reasonable conclusion. Wait, so you're telling me that I just got to do the deficit and the walking and not do too much or too little of it and just repeat it until I'm at, 12% body fat or whatever your goal is, right? Until I have that six pack, and I just got to let time do the work? And I'd say yes. And then if you're like me, you might say, that's boring. That is boring. It's going to take, if you're 40 pounds or like 20 kg overweight, that's anywhere from like 9 months to a year of you doing this. Even if it's easy, even if you got it dialed in. But the fact that you're seeing the progress, that's what messes with you, because you start getting that dopamine hit. You get that sense of satisfaction, and you're like, maybe if I do more of it, I'm going to increase the reward. And that is how you mess things up. So yes, it is boring. It is about consistency. This is not the kind of thing where you do more and you start winning more. Getting lean, dropping body fat percentage, It's all about consistency over time. You cannot do too little. You cannot do too much. You cannot. You're going to sabotage yourself. So you need to start thinking about, if you're the kind of person that has a lot of trouble with this because you've never been able to really follow like a structured schedule your entire life, then you're going to have to start finding a way. You're going to have to start getting it in your head. I need a schedule. I need consistency. I need to build reliable, repeatable habits that I do not have to think about. And that is the only way you're going to win. Now, coming up, I'm going to tell you more about this caloric deficit, what to eat, how to calculate it, all of this stuff. We're just getting started. Let me know in the comments below. Tell me I'm starting now. Say it. I'm starting today. Make a commitment. Tell me how many steps you did today. And we're going to do this. I'm out.